Hello everyone, I'm Christine Josty of Mail Something Pretty, and I have these fun little kind of bag boxes to show you. And they are made out of, you can kind of see here the banner shape. So they're like a banner bag box. So this one is Halloween, and then this is kind of winter or Christmas. And so I'm going to show you how to make them because they're kind of fun. So you do need, well, you could certainly cut a template and then trace it and cut it to make a banner, but the banner dies kind of do it for you. You get a lot of banners in this set. You can kind of see how big that they are compared to my hand. So they go down, let's see, the smallest one is maybe 1 3/4 by 1 1/4, and they go all the way up to 5 1/2 by 7. They're pretty big, and you get a lot of them. So they're called party banner dies. Yeah, party banner dies. They do also, you can get letters that work with them too. So they're pretty versatile, but I wanted to show you, rather than just making like a bunting, that you can make a box or a bag out of them. So that's what we're going to do today. I've already done some of the pre-cutting. We actually did this we did this one as an in-person stamping event. So we made Halloween ones, and then for club, we made these ones. So some of the cutting is already done, but you need 2 banner shapes. And so within the banners, you get 2 sets of these circles, which, here we go. I put them on a magnet actually, so I wouldn't lose one. And then they're actually like one piece, and you can cut 4 at a time. You also get, and you can kind of see them I have them on tape, but they are the little, to make the holes. So normally, if you were making a banner, and you would have it hung this way, so you put the holes on the top so you could loop the ribbon through and hang it. But for this, you want to put them on the bottom. So you want to put those dots, let's see. You want to have them there. So what I did was I just used painter's tape, and you can kind of see it's well worn. It had been cut quite a lot, and they stay there. I just kind of taped them in place in the corners, and so then I ran it through the paper, and it cut the holes and the outline at the same time. So you want 2 of these. This color is Pretty Peacock. You obviously can do it any color you want. And then the other piece you want to cut is a long strip, and that's going to be this piece that kind of goes around. And so this is my little template. So this is 2 3/4, so 2 3/4 by 11. And you can vary the, if you made a smaller box, maybe you wouldn't want it the 11, you would make it shorter. You can make this a thicker box, so I would do bigger than 2 3/4, but this seems to be a nice size, so that's kind of what I picked. And actually, let me measure this box for you. So this one is 3 3/4 wide by 5 inches tall. So it was kind of like the middle-ish banner is the one that I picked. All right, so that's what you need for that. So that's what I have here. And all we do need to do is a little scoring. So you're just going to score like what I call the portrait side, or I think people call the tall side. I always get mixed up. A 1/2 inch on one side. I'm going to flip it over and do a 1/2 inch on the other long side. And then I'm just going to put this up. Do at 3 5/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And 7 7/16. I know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the reason for those measurements is because that gets you the middle. So it's pretty close to being in the middle. All right. So these are the pieces of our box. So what we're going to first do is we're going to add tear and tape. I like to do this step first before I cut. So I'm just going to add tear and tape all along that long, thin side. And it doesn't matter. I could have done this side as that side. It doesn't matter. And then this side. The Tear Tape for this project really works well. You can use glue, but this is a little easier. And now what I'm going to do is snip. So we have that score line that goes up to that score line. I'm just going to snip it. So then that becomes, you can kind of see like that. And I'm going to do that on all, like the two middles, here, here. So the reason why I do the Tear Tape first is I could just do one long strip. I could have cut it and done 3 individual Tear Tapes, but that just takes longer. Okay, so just folding on all of those just to make them flexible. All right, so now I'm going to show you, oh actually before we do that, before I show you Kim's tip, we're going to do a little stamping. And so this, I put white paper on one of those foam pads, and it just helps because it's a photopolymer stamp, so that this the thickness of this helps because it's such a skinny little stamp. Now the other thing is, let me show you actually the stamp set we are using. It's called Snowy Delights. I've actually used it quite a bit. I like the little sayings that come in here. I love a warm hello. I've been using that with that sweater set. Joy to the world. So it's a nice set. It's a big stamp. So you need to use this huge block. So what's this, letter F? So you do kind of need a big block. The other thing, it comes with dies. You can buy it as a bundle. So this die will cut out that snowflake. And then you can do like this one, I think cuts out a smaller part of that snowflake. So you can layer them together. And then this is just a snowflake on its own. This does it imprints into the paper. So it cuts out like just the little stars. And then you get the snowflake too. So it's a fun snowflake set. I like it a lot. It also comes with, part of the bundle that you can get some masks. So you can, and I didn't bring them up here, but I think they're in the catalog. Let's see if I can find them fast. What this is called, Snowy Delights. We'll use the index. Snowy Delights, page 53. There we go. So you can kind of see like all the snowflakes layered on each other, but this is done with masking. So, which I will make a video on next month. You get 4 masks and you can layer them on top of each other and they come out beautifully. And then they line up with the stamp and the die. So it's a really cool kind of sweet. But today we're just using the stamp. Actually, I guess we're using one of the dies. All right. So we are going to stamp this. So what I was doing was I kind of put these two together. You don't have to, but it was a little faster. And I'm taking my pretty peacock. I'm gonna ink it this way because it's so big. This would make great wrapping paper. So I stamped it there. I should have done the middle first. What I should have done was done the middle first, but that's all right. I'm gonna stamp here. So it kind of gets 2 sides at once. And I'm gonna stamp here. Let's see, can I get a little bit? I think it still had ink on it. It did. If you wanted to, you can also stamp the sides of the box. I didn't, but if you did, you would want to actually stamp the side that has the tear and tape, because what's going to happen is the tear and tape, it's going to go like that. So you would stamp that side, but I don't think it really needs it, and it will just get me messy. All right. So there are our pieces. So this is what I thought was cool. So when I did it, I actually built this first. So I kind of stuck this on top of here. And then, so I made this like little frame of a box. And then I stuck those on top. And you can do that, but this is a better way. Kim showed us this at club. She was my helper at the event, and she was a great helper. So if you kind of put those out of the way, you're just gonna put this right on top here. It sticks. Once it's down, and it folds. And then we're gonna do it on this side too. So you can even get those out of the way if it helps you see better. Take that off. And then this is just gonna go right on top. You just wanna make sure it's right above that score line so it folds. And now we can put our box together. So I'm going to, you can either do one side at once or two sides at once. So we'll do it both ways. All right, so I'm gonna do one side here. This just comes up. You just make sure that the edges meet like that. Just give a little press. And then I can do this other side. Like that. And then you can take those both off at once and you can kind of put it together at once, or you can do one at a time and slip that in. What I like about this shape of a box is it's not really limited to like one. Actually, I'm just doing one since I'm talking. For, you know, they lend itself for birthdays, even wedding favors. Obviously, I have Christmas here and Halloween, Valentine's Day. Like, the banner shape is not a specific shape for one reason. So it's kind of cool. So there we go. There is our box. So the other add-ons, so now we're going to decorate it. So I had lost that magnet. It's here. That's why I put it on a magnet. And I didn't cut out any beforehand. So I'm going to do that right now. So this is just an optional thing, but I think it adds to it, especially for like a Christmas, like a fancy box. So you actually get two sets of these, which is nice because if you lose one, or you can do two at once. So I'm just using the copper foil, and I should have said, I put adhesive paper, like that adhesive backing. You're probably not even gonna see it because it's a white backing, but there's it's that adhesive backing, so it's sticky. I put that on first. So then we take these out. Oh, where did my take your pick tool walk off to? Shoot, I was actually going to show you a fun trick with it. But if I don't have it, I can't show you. Well, I'll tell you. It's actually Mary Lou's tip. So what she did, you take the backing off, just like that. This is the wrong point, but let's see. She used the piercer, that's a stylus, of your take your pick tool, and then she put it here, and then, oops. Try that again. And she put it right down, and it fit right there, and then she just pressed it. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is you can actually, here's a little template, you can put them on before you put your box together. You can see this one, I actually did stamp the sides. Or you can just peel them off and stick them. It does make it a little easier than using glue. Those were called adhesive sheets. They come in like 6 by 12, so you just kind of cut to whatever size you need. Sometimes when I use them, I have all these like little skinny strips left over and I save them. And that's actually what I used to back. Oops. The other thing you can use is tweezers. I use those leftover little strips. And then I just put them on these little skinny strips. Again, this is just like an extra I'll show you on the Halloween bag. I didn't do it on the Halloween bag, but this one we did because we're gonna use an embossed label. So it just adds a little bit. So here's the Halloween bag that does not have them. And this one does. It, you know, you can go either way. All right, but we did it. So now we are just, oh, actually before I get too messy here, I'm gonna show you one other little tip. So I already embossed with copper to match my copper foil, a winter wish for snowy delights. That's the wrong one. We want this one. Sending you joy and many delights. All part of the same set. And then this is the label, the biggest label of this shape from the Stylish Shapes that if you ever watch anything I do, you see that I use it all the time. It's my favorite die set. So I'm going to, you can just cut it out regular and it would be like this size, but you can kind of see I made mine a little bit smaller to fit the words better and also to give a little bit more room on the box. So how I did that, and you can do this with a lot of different dies. I'm going to cut this. I'm gonna kind of center it, or not really center, but align it on either side. It doesn't matter which first, but I'll just align it on the left side first. Lay that straight. And then I'm gonna cut that. Sometimes like you like the die shape, but it's a little bit too big. This is what you can do. So now I'm going to turn it around and I'm just going to just kind of pay attention to that border and that border like that. And then you can run it through, but I like to flip it over just to make sure it's the paper's within the die and the tracks kind of thing. And actually you can even cut it upside down to make sure it stays that way. This technique works really good on rectangles, any kind of a shape of a rectangle. So this is kind of like a rectangle. So that's just extra, but you can certainly use that as a, like make a chevron. And that made my die a little bit smaller. So it just fits my project a little bit better. Now we can decorate our bag. We need to put the ribbon in. So when I was designing this project, and I did the Halloween one first. And some of my club members went to that event and some didn't. So I wanted them, the ones who didn't, to know how to make the box. But I didn't have, like, I actually judged the colors on the ribbon I had. So I had a whole spool plus a little bit more. And I knew I needed like 22 to 24 inches of ribbon per person. So this was the only color, it's petal pink, that I had that would work for everyone in club. So all I did was I Googled Christmas colors with peach, because it's kind of a peachy color, even though it's called petal pink, it's kind of peach. And then it came up with these colors. I never would have come up with these colors, including the copper or the gold. You could have used either. And they're really pretty. And so you can just kind of Google anything. When you're looking for color choices, you know, like I said, Christmas colors with peach. I'm just looking for my scissors. See if I can make that a better. These are not my ribbon scissors, so I might not be able to get a. So it's a thicker ribbon than the purple ribbon that I did, but it still works. So I'm just going to weave it through, and I will certainly trim this edge. And I'm doing it, I'm just going to poke it through. I'm doing it with one piece of ribbon. You could certainly do like two loops. But I kind of like it with the one. And I'm just using that stylus to poke it through. want to end up in this middle kind of side. Okay. So I just want to kind of make sure it's not all twisted, which it is, before I tie my knot. Okay. I'm going to pull it in. So I'm going to make a square knot. So what I do is I'm going to take the right side, so it's right over left, then you flip that under, and then I'm going to do the left over right. The square knot is one of the strongest knots, and then when it comes together, you pull, and it's really tight. And then this is when you can kind of trim. These are paper scissors, not ribbon scissors. That's better than it was. So now they're shorter, and then that will be, you can either have it in the middle or closer to a seam. And then this part is still, the whole thing is adjustable. So there you go. There's your little ribbon holder, and now we can decorate. So I'm going to use, I'll just use this because we're going to use some glue. So I have the 2 snowflakes that I cut from the same die set bundle. And these ones actually cut out really nice because they're not too skinny. You know, sometimes when you have snowflakes and they're really fine and they're hard to get out. All right, so it doesn't matter. I used Pool Party and Petal Pink. Petal Pink because it matches the ribbon. Pool Party because it was one of the recommended colors. You can, that looks really pretty. And then I've Lost Lagoon. So you can kind of switch up. You could put, I'll do, this one had the pink on top, so I'll do the blue on top of this one. I cut out with that same stylish shapes dies that we used to make that, the smallest circle in copper. And so I'm going to glue my circle onto that. So I'm just going to use tiny bits of glue, like tiny. And that's going to go right in the middle. And I'll do the same thing on this Pool Party. Oop, that was actually more glue than I wanted. And then I'm going to offset it a little bit. Like that. And then I'm going to let it dry, which I never do. So let's put that on. So we're going to use dimensionals. It takes a little bit longer to dry because the foil paper is a little slippery. All right, so that will go on there. I'm probably rushing it, but I'm gonna put some dimensionals. I'll do 3 on here. And that I'm gonna go a little bit on top. I like it kind of overhanging on my label there. And then to clean up this middle piece, I have these. These are part of a fall set. I think they're pecan pie. I forget what they're called. You can use any sort of gems, but they kind of, I figured they're similar to the copper color. And that's just gonna go right on top. And there you go, cleaned it up a little bit. Oops, so those are the boxes. They're fun, they're a nice size. It's the size of my hand. You can put quite a lot of stuff in there. Or even just a gift card with some tissue paper. All right, so there we go. There are the banner boxes. Here's the Halloween version. So really, Valentine, make them all sorts of occasions, but now you kind of know the process of how to do it. So thank you very much for watching. If you do not receive my emails, please do. So just hop on over to my blog at mailsomethingpretty.com, and there's a box there. You can just put in your name and your email address, and you'll get on my mailing list. And I mail out emails every Tuesday, and during Christmas time, which happens to be kind of now, I do a 12 weeks of Christmas series. So we're kind of almost in the middle of that right now. And those go out on Wednesdays. So thank you very much. I hope you like the project. Let me know. See you later. Bye-bye.